pretty damn familiar with each other.
We'll see if they can switch the rematch up to end in a different way. Team Solo Mid versus Vulcan here as we are into week 4, your second day. It was Super Wednesday yesterday, but it's just a super week. Let's see if everybody can keep that bar up there in the gameplay as we see Vulcan now trying to come out here. A little trick from them in the champion picks and bans. They did ban out that Jarvan for odd one and then choose that Xin Zhao, Jet says, because they're going up against that Dyrus on Singed, but they also had the Hecarim open, so we'll see if that really formulates here throughout the early parts of the game.
And in Vulcan's big win yesterday against Complexity, Xin Zhao was very key. Xmithie got very, very farmed, and immediately they're looking to invade. Alistair's level 1 is extremely strong, so they're bullying them around a little bit. They may just be looking to get some deep wards again, though.
Chaos taking a little harass there, so Zuna knows where the AD carry is. They have a little bit of a split, so if they get in that engagement, Jat, they know what the numbers are.
And Vulcan looks like they just looped through, and then they did the smart thing of warding everywhere they've ran, so that if TSM decides to come back through their red buff, they should be able to know exactly where they are. The only danger of this is they haven't actually spotted anybody on TSM yet. They pinged the one ward that TSM placed down in the same brush that Vulcan had warded, but other than that, they have to kind of stick together here, because for all they know, TSM snuck by them and got into their jungle.
It's been a while since we've seen, well, a while, but a good time since we've seen the odd one on Maokai, and it's surprising that they don't choose to try to counter on this jungle, being so mana dependent. We saw them do it on the odd one, or I'm sorry, Nintendo the other day when he was on Elise. They were able to steal it. He got himself around with that Spirit Stone pretty early, but it would hurt the odd one quite a bit. We see help on the Xmithie's wraiths, and then to the red. Let's see where the junglers head from there. Golems for Chaos and Xpecial down in the bottom lane. It's going to be Wolves, actually, for Zuna and Muffin Cutie. No swaps to the lanes.
But Xmithie is starting with the red buff, so he might be looking to make a big early play somewhere. Finally, a 2v2 straight-up lane for TSM. So the first game, we didn't see them do an early game tower dive yesterday, was against Marn because Marn counter-swapped. And this game, TSM's not even doing the swap in the first place, so they might not be able to do that early tower dive.
Real aggression coming out from Reginald there in mid. We can see the mid's already taking a bit of damage as he pumps the flask already, and he's just trying to push that minion wave into the tower. A few auto attacks going back and forth as they trade shots for CS down in the bottom lane. Looks like Muffin Cutie takes up position in the brush, already warded up by Xpecial, so we'll see if he can get any free shots here and start to poke down for some aggression.
And it was a rush to level 2 that neither of them really ended up winning in the bottom lane. They both hit level 2, so neither team got a big advantage. And for the first time, even though it's a very aggressive bottom lane, I don't know if we're going to see much coming out from TSM down bot.
It looks like Reginald has his boots. He goes all the way through those flasks, and he wants to go back so he can keep the chase on. He wants to go really aggressive here to go back already at 3 minutes. The red buff, or rather blue buff for Xmithie was grabbed quite some time ago, just being grabbed by the odd one, and it looks like it's going to be a head-top initiation here.
And there were no wards up top for Dyrus, so this is a surprise success gank if they want. They know Dyrus started with cloth and pots, but he's running away now because he sensed it.
He is out of mana. There's the slow on him, but he activates the Summoner Ghost. He's going to be all right. Here he throws out the laugh.
He's going to be doing a lot of laughing here. And Oddworld flashing in, he gets the Twisted Advance.
Great initiation there. They are not in beautiful positioning there, but it was the flash by Mandatory Cloud. I like how TSM positioned to not be double light binded there.
And that was a gank that the Odd One knew he wouldn't get counter-ganked on because he knew that Xmithie had just flew mid. The last time he played Maokai, they say they lost the game because the Odd One got counter-ganked when he went mid, but Maokai burning a flash in the mid lane is huge amounts of trouble. He closes better than almost any of the junglers, so now that he doesn't have the fear of getting pulled into the tower by a Twisted Advance, Reginald and the Odd One are probably going to look to punish Mandatory Cloud quite a bit.
Wow, Reginald going back again 1 minute and 12 seconds later after pressuring that mid lane. He knows with that flash gone there's an advantage. He wants the wards. He wants to be even more aggressive in that mid lane.
And here's the cute thing. He went back and bought a Vision Ward.
Oh, Dyrus.
As Dyrus is actually still in trouble. Are they going to go? They're going.
The Ignite goes on. The last hit comes in. And a little hesitation, but Psycho Sid picking up first blood.
So the junglers have picked their lanes that they're going to bully. Vulcan, in previous victories, picked bottom lane, but this time it looks like they're going for Dyrus at least early, and TSM is going for mid.
And that was really the strategy when the Odd One picked Maokai against Dignitas's Kiwi Kid Singed. Focus Singed down. He's going to be such a trouble in this late game. They have Kog'Maw down in the bottom lane. It's weird why they wouldn't focus out that, but we'll have to see what they have in mind, chat. A little harassed down in the bottom. Zuna's just kind of more than happy to keep this farm on. These guys not too aggressive.
And you talk about where they're going to focus. I mean, I think it's a good call for them to go up against Dyrus just because Singed can become such a threat. But I want to point out the pink ward that Reginald had placed in that brush. That cleared out Mandatory Cloud's ward right there. So that means the odd one can approach from that side, but because he only had one pink ward, Mandatory Cloud just warded the other side, and he's going to hug that side of the map because that's going to be the only way he can be safe from Maokai ganks.
So is that simple homework that these guys can do? Say Mandatory Cloud, I watched 4 out of 5 games, and he regularly wards the bottom side. Do you guys take that into consideration, that he's going to pink that every time? And
well, I haven't seen Reginald pink ward that. If anything, he knows that because they got the repeat gank on ManCloud, because they burned his flash, that they want to make the next Maokai gank easier. So he bought the pink ward because he knew that Mandatory Cloud was going toward that brush since he had to play defensive. So he's just trying to take away his safety reactively.
Right on. Smithy looks for something here, walking through a ward into the bottom lane. You can see Muffin Cutie kind of getting aggressive there, and X-Special read it out with the ward as well. Put on the early dazzle as they can go back to farming here. 6 minutes in, a 500 gold lead from that first blood, and the assist coming in for Vulcan, as TSM doesn't look to give them any more of those advantages. They're playing pretty careful here. Psycho Sid looks like he's pretty demanding, or pretty dominating in this top lane.
And this is why a lot of people do pick Renekton up in the top lane. He can start so strong. He's got a Giant's belt already, right? He's a beefy crocodile up there, and Dyrus, once he hits level 6, might be able to make a bit of a comeback in that lane.
So it looks like Muffin Cutie not wanting to back, maybe drawing something in. They don't have the jungler down there. Reginald forced to flash. The wards proving useful so far, and it keeps it only at 1-0.
So the mid lane for Reginald is a bit of a farm fest like we thought it would be. Bottom lane is farming pretty well as well without much action. Taric and Alistar are kind of negating each other's aggression right now, right? Like, if either one of them goes in, Alistar can just be the offensive lineman, or Taric can just stun them once they go in, and they are able to just trade farm back and forth. With the shopping happening soon, it's going to be an interesting thing to see who shops first, because that person will have an advantage coming back to lane. But if the other guy waits long enough, you get back, and it's going to be basically an item battle down bottom.
We just saw in that bottom lane the dazzles being thrown out towards Zuna. Props to him, keeping himself 5 CS ahead as well in that lane where you just see him forced off. X-Special's just being a menace right now in the bush. They continue that off. The blue buff is given to Reginald in mid, so we'll see a little bit less backing from him and more of that coined aggression that he brings out from the mid champions. Coming over to Mandatory Cloud. They're 51-54 in CS right now. They've gotten the Doran's Ring to a Chalice, so they're kind of just getting the regen for more farming.
And the Chalice is good for Lux because he needs to worry about the spike, but he's in trouble now.
Wow, the beautiful binding. Kobe talked about it yesterday from the fog of war right there, and they almost pulled it off for another kill.
Mandatory Cloud had previously used his ultimate to clear the wave when he went back to buy Chalice, so when he landed that light binding, he wasn't able to spike out Reginald. It's just off cooldown now. Reginald also landed a very clutch stun on X-Smithy as he came in. When that binding landed, I thought Reginald was dead, and he probably felt the same.
It was quite close. They got good attacks. They tried to layer the crowd control, but the laser burst would have been the amount needed. Kayak going quite low, but he's staying in the fight there, knowing X-Special would help him and keep him alive. Very sound play in the bottom lane. As they get a bit aggressive, some summoner spells are wasted.
So just the ignite for Muffin Cutie, but that could put TSM in a bit of a comfort zone, even though Chaos is a bit low, because Jin Zhao is coming down bottom as well. They might get something here.
One last living artillery could do it, but X-Special finds X-Smithy right on the back side of this, and X-Smithy has been doing this a whole lot, and that counter gank is just beautiful.
Muffin Cutie just smacked him around. That was an over-aggression by TSM. It was just a 2v2 in lane, but X-Smithy came in at just the right moment. I have to say, Zuna did a tremendous job taking enough damage to make X-Special feel like he could chase him through, and now because of that kill, TSM is looking to pull Floor Dragon. Or Vulcan is looking to go for Dragon.
Well, they do have the teleport on Dyrus. They may pull him down. It doesn't look like Reginald's moving. The odd one is heading over there, but it doesn't look like it's in smite range anymore. But he does actually stop the dragon just from warding and not really having vision of the rest of TSM.
Could have been because Zuna wasn't there and the fact that Chaos may have still been in lane and they knew that Reginald's ult was up to siege. Like, someone with the long-range siege of Reginald does make grouping up in the Dragon Pit a little bit dangerous. I think if Vulcan was feeling a little more bold, they would have been confident enough to do that, but Dyrus trying to be a bit of a singed right now.
Dyrus actually was just farming back behind the first turret and thought he'd take a detour through the jungle.
This is what Singe does. He tries to create as much map pressure as possible. If he can't lane against Smithy, he's just going to jungle against Xmithy, and he stole the big Wraith away.
Well, his lane is back to being even out, so he'll probably head back up there if he can't wreak some havoc mid. It looks like he'll do just that. Try not to walk through the ward in the top lane. And still, the push coming from Reginald in middle. Looks like he actually might be going for a Haunting Guys next.
Who's that going for the Haunting Guys?
Reginald.
Reginald will probably go for the Haunting Guys, actually, because we talked about the spell pen combinations that you're able to pull off on Xerath, and if he gets the Sork Shoes and Haunting Guys, he's going to be getting a whole bunch of Magic Pen anyway. A lot of these Xeraths are maxing the W second, because the cooldown actually goes from 20 seconds to 4 seconds when you max it, and it's free, so in lane he just essentially turns himself into the long-term siege turret all the time.
He looks like to go right under the turret. The wave got lost. He sieged up right in front of Mandatory Cloud there. Lucky he didn't have the light binding up. Little few pings coming down in that mid lane on the odd one to tell the pressure is coming into the bottom lane.
And it looks like the odd one might be coming around the back. This would be a 3-on-3 if Vulcan tries to go in on the odd one. Xin Zhao is a little far away though. Can he get over the wall?
Oh, Zuna gets himself back over, just leaving Muffin Cutie by himself. But you were right, a little too far away. Well played there by TSM to close in on that fast.
They got all the damage while it was still a 2v3, so they will be able to safely go in here. And the brawl mid!
Oh, Mandatory Cloud taking a few ultimates from Reginald. He doesn't have that spike in damage yet, but you can see the potential just in the early game here.
Well, the double luck shield, as well as the Chalice of Harmony, actually made Reginald's spike not very big. He popped a health potion, and it almost feels like Reginald didn't just burn his ultimate on him.
Looks like TSM may be able to take the Dragon on this one. Interesting, because it was stopped by Reginald's ultimate last time they baited this out. So with that down, they still feel they can go with it this time.
TSM's got to get out of there.
Beauty on some attacks. They're right inside, a full pulverize on everybody in there. A true shot barrage as well, doubling up on them. And Vulcan takes a huge advantage. They might even get the Dragon here. Dyrus is going to be able to wreak some havoc, causing all the chaos as he comes in. It looks like they're going to be able to turn this one back in their favor, but the mana bars are low here, chat. Beautiful job, great job coming in by Psycho Sid. The Dragon is taken down, and TSM is left to run here. Dyrus trying to pick up kills, but he realizes he cannot do this alone. It's in and out for him, and Reginald are both deciding whether to go in or not.
That fight for TSM was pretty much a disaster. They got caught on a Dragon by a huge Final Spark plus Ezreal ultimate right at the start, and then they're like, okay, we got this. Dyrus is going to teleport in, and at least we're going to salvage the Dragon off of this fight. But Psycho Sid had spent so long running down, he actually flashed in at the last second, dashed in, used his Renekton Q, and stole the Dragon away from Reginald and Dyrus, making it a complete loss for TSM in that engage.
Completely amazing. Psycho Sid really taking things into his own hands here, buying Boots of Lucidity on Renekton to just keep the pressure on in his lane and not let Dyrus have any chance.
You see that occasionally on Renekton because he's so Fury-based. No real cost on his spells, so with more CDR you get more stuns, more dashes, more Qs. It's just going to help him sustain with Sin's ridiculousness in lane.
All right, so we're getting to that point here. I think TSM feels like they did take a hit there. That last buy, after losing a few, they pick up a lot of wards. They're going to get the map lit back up, and they're going to try to grab some lanes here, get a few more kills. 4-2 in favor of Vulcan. Remember, Vulcan was able to upset TSM in their last meeting, so TSM is really looking for revenge here.
Nope. TSM has beaten Vulcan twice.
Oh, yep. Totally thinking
it was Marn
of Marn
who had the upset.
Yeah. Thanks, brain.
No problem, buddy. I'm your brain. That's why I'm saying no problem. Don't worry about it.
Had to process. Process. Slow in the morning. 14 minutes in, we do see the odd one actually going to grab this for himself, so we may see a gank coming into that bottom lane. They have it pushed up a bit, so he would be able to pressure the bush. But Xmithy, once again, if it comes in, he's ready for the counter.
And Xmithy seems to be back to basics right now. He had the one gank in the top lane at the start of the game. He's been mid a few unsuccessful times against Reginald, but mainly Xmithy has been camping bottom lane looking to make something happen. Taric goes aggressive for a stun, and here comes Xmithy.
The cleanse comes out right away, and they turn onto Xpecial. Can they get the burst damage out to kill him down? We can see the armor just keeping him alive right now, especially with the ultimate going down, but he's not able to turn around and do any damage for himself besides that. And it looks like Chaos may be able to turn this around with the Living Artillery. He doesn't have enough mana to continue, and the odd one's just a little too late.
His name was too close to himself. He had to kill off his fake clone over there. So the second time he's been able to come down and really bait Xpecial into going for stuns. he's got to be careful where he goes aggressive because it's backfiring on him a little bit.
There's Muffin Cutie going in very nice. Smithy's still there to help out the odd one. Not taking turret damage just yet. He did get that arcane smash in, so the aggro goes on. I don't think they're going to pressure this. Very back and forth. It seems like nobody really wants to commit fully to these fights. The Void Ooze almost takes him out the rest of the way.
That was just a bit of overconfidence by Smithy. I feel like he felt invincible, maybe didn't realize he was so low health when he went in. He was trying to isolate the odd one and throw him back behind the tower where they'd focus him down, but he forgot that Chaos had a BS sword and he was going to be able to kill him when he went in, so he kind of threw away some of the positive ganks he'd done in the past and fed a few kills back to TSM.
So we're at just about 16 minutes. TSM still holding with that gold. Can it hit? No, the Lucent Singularity just missing for probably what would have been the last bit of Reginald's health. Dyrus going on to Psycho Sid in this top lane here, and it seems like it's kind of starting to turn in Dyrus' favor just in that damage trade. Psycho Sid seems a little fearful of what that damage can do now.
Well, Singe has made a bit of a comeback, and he's going to continue once he gets that Sunfire Cape.
Oh, the Mystic Shot at full range. And we're just going to see Kax waddle around until he explodes in that bottom lane. Zuna, you could hear him in the background. Actually, after yesterday's games here, as Vulcan takes mid-turret as well after that kill in the bottom lane, we heard another engagement in top, rather, so I guess this won't come out. Nope. All right, they stopped. And here comes mid. Smithy going down the twisted advance on. They get the crowd control, one on top of the other perfectly, and come up with a kill there.
Yeah, we're just going to fight in all three lanes at the same time. Don't even worry about it. We got this. So Zuna got the kill on Chaos.
Yeah.
Top lane, Psycho Sid pushed Dyrus out. I think that was a net negative or net zero for all those guys. And then the odd one made the positive play in the mid lane to try to just bring them back. This game is going to be close, but one thing I need to point out is every game where Zuna has been getting fed, Vulcan seems to win, and he's 3-0-2 on Ezreal down in bottom lane right now, so that is a very good sign for Vulcan.
And that leads back to the point perfectly, because as Zuna was leaving yesterday, a little aggression on him now, so you know what? I'm going to give up the point. Zuna's being a lot louder. He wasn't yesterday. He said he was very quiet, and right now, like you said, when they can get him on that carry spot, he's doing well, playing safe here, gets himself out of a sticky situation as Muffin Cutie comes in from the side for a little help. We do have the Bloodthirster already finished in for Zuna, 119 CS to 133 of Chaos with that burst from Infinity Edge. If he goes for that first, which he probably will, and this Kog'Maw is going to be detrimental with the amount of crowd control they have as well on the team.
Yeah, Chaos is definitely going for the long build on Kog'Maw, which will be Infinity Edge and a Phantom Dancer, but he's kind of building them both up at the same time. For Kog, that is a pretty good way of maximizing your damage because he needs the attack speed to take more advantage of his W, but at the same time, he is about being a late game carry, so he wants the Infinity Edge. And again, Smithy is down here. I wonder if X Special will get a bit aggressive.
Looks like Odd One is just on the other side of this, but they will have the ward there. Muffin Cutie going in for the pound. Headbutt backwards after the flash, and it looks like they may be able to get a kill on this. It goes down again for Chaos. He pretty much just returned to lane, and it looks like they're going to get some good damage here. Smithy says he wants to go in. The Odd One could be forced to save here. The ultimate's enough, and then the twisted advance. They do get X Special out safely. The Odd One's going to stay here and think he can do a lot. They're pinging for Reginald to come down, chat. He might be able to go in. The Dyrus TP coming in. He is from behind. The laser comes out as Reginald's taking a huge amount of front-end damage here. He goes down to Ignite. Vulcan is turning this one around again. It looked like the Odd One had them on the bait, but Vulcan said, no way, we still have control. Dyrus will be able to take down one here if Muffin Cutie takes one more breath. The shield goes down. He's got the mana for the flip, but he's not got the range. The cow keeps running, and Dyrus goes down.
Dyrus tried to 1v3. That's the second failed teleport he has done. He's came down, looked like he was going to make something happen, but the shields, the heals, the kites, and the stuns all stopped him from getting through, and 10-5 lead now for Vulcan. Zuna still unkillable, and that was another big, close exchange that Vulcan comes out on top of.
Oh my gosh, Dyrus was half a pixel away from getting that poison back into the lungs of Muffin Cutie. And Muffin Cutie actually has 20 less movement speed, so I don't know how the hell he stayed in front of that, but that was just amazing down to the last second. 20 minutes in here, Vulcan just making strides in this game. Great momentum for them. 10-5 here, 27,800, so we'll say 28,000 to 24.5. A good lead for them right now. This is where they need to hold it. They got to keep warding up. The core items are coming in. We have that Warmogs finished. Actually, Ezreal now starting to build a little bit of armor for himself. Zuna picks up the chain vest.
And Vulcan, it's time for them to start taking some of the game-winning action here. They've gotten the pink ward supremacy over the dragon, or at least they're trying to get it. They're grouped up as 5 very soon when Zuna gets down there. TSM wants to stop this Dragon as well. A lot of the ultimates are back up again, and Dyrus starts it with a flip.
He's going to go in. They put down that slow. It looks like Vulcan's able to get out of the slow. They go right onto Chaos. The laser hits as well. He doesn't even get a chance in this fight. He keeps going down. That's the 3rd time in the past like 5 minutes. Zuna taking damage as well. He's able to get himself safely, and it looks like Vulcan may be able to disengage here, but they will try to chase. TSM is blood hungry right now. They have not gotten a lot in the past few minutes, and you can just see how much they want this kill. Muffin Cutie even putting himself up for defense here with a sliver of health, and he knows he can get out with helping Mandatory Cloud. Great play by Vulcan.
Well, they did lose the fight, but they were barely able to escape. I have to say the initiation by TSM was good. Muffin Cutie did get caught out of position. They didn't get the right initiation in, but Vulcan is still trying to stay in it with Poke. The blue buff on Mandatory Cloud is most likely going to prevent TSM from getting this Dragon. It's going to be funny, Rev. I think everyone's going to shop, come back, and replay the same fight again.
They just might, but with this damage they've done to TSM, it looks like it might be Vulcan's. The tower gets dropped, though, so it wouldn't really hurt TSM if they do lose the Dragon.
But they don't want to. They want to stop this from happening entirely. Vulcan straight on the Dragon again. TSM was a little late to shop because Mandatory Cloud held them back with his laser. But again, Dyrus is in here trying to harass. He needs a few more seconds for his ult. There's the Dragon, but we might see a fight.
And they could go back at it again, Jay. You called it. Dyrus does not have any summoner spells up here that's going to get him out safely, so he's just kind of deterred in the back of this right now. A great final spark crosses the odd one in Chaos. They're trying to get back onto this. Good damage to Psycho Sid. He's really the one that's going to dive Chaos on the back line. If they can get that out, no, they can't. Zuna now puts himself in the front, trying to get the Mystic damage poke in, as Reginald still off in the fog of war. We haven't really seen him able to get into these fights for that full Xerath damage.
Yeah, his ultimates haven't quite been poking out the targets he needs, right? Like, they're in the fight, he's kind of just doing random AoE damage instead of really singling out a guy and taking him out of the fight, like we saw when he was successfully playing Xerath yesterday in their first game.
Right.
That hasn't happened yet, and for Vulcan, they have been outplaying TSM, it seems like, for a lot, but all of that has just given them the 3,000 gold lead. They've taken the Dragons they've needed, the turrets are even, they're up a lot in kills, but the gold is actually not that dominating of a lead for them.
And for what we saw yesterday, it's 22 minutes and there's only 1 turret on each side drop. Dyrus can't even be singed right now. He can't even really farm out different lane and split push. As Psycho Sid has held that lane great in the top. Dyrus definitely holding the CS though, 160 to 163, but 4 kills for Psycho Sid, having a great game right now. Actually picks up the Hex Drinker as well, knowing that magic damage in this fight, in these fights, is probably going to be the thing to kill him.
And Dyrus's build is a little curious for a lot of Singe. I mean, Kiwi Kid Singe is an example that you can bring up. He went like the Tear of the Goddess into a Rylai's.
Right.
And a lot of people don't realize that Singe's flip is on a 1.0 AP ratio. So like, Singes accidentally get like 200 or 300 AP sometimes if they're going the Rylai's or the Roa build, or if they get a Seraph's Embrace off of the Tear. But Dyrus has none of that. He's really just a pure tank, which has hurt them a little bit in some of these fights, because it's not that Dyrus is taking too much damage, it's that he's not doing any and they're able to kite him around a bit too much. Looks like he's still going full tank, but we have to watch how that develops.
Iceborne Gauntlet coming out for Zuna, so it looks like they're just trying to keep these fights in their favor. They much super disengaged. You have the Voidoos coming in from Chaos and an Arcane Smash, which is kind of close range, but really Zuna and the crew just want to keep these fights continuously going, and that's what they're going to get out of that buy. Well,
the Renekton Xin Zhao kind of dive combination is something we've seen so many teams pick up. This is the combination that Gambit Gaming, who used to be Moscow 5, used to beat both a Zubu Blaze and a Zubu Frost at IEM Katowice. So it's a proven competition in worldwide play. It's proven to work in the LCS, and Renekton and Xin Zhao get to the things they want to get to, which does not make it easy for Chaos on Kog'Maw.
So as you do a quick comparison here, just from lane to lane, it does look like that gold lead goes to Zuna right now. He has 8,100 to himself. The closest on the other team is going to be Reginald in mid. So we can just see how much of an impact Zuna is having on this game. Psycho Sid in that top lane just behind him at 8 grand himself as well.
And the lead that Zuna has, I think, is the most important lead for them in this game. The fact that he hasn't died yet, the fact that he actually went for that Iceborne Gauntlet and he's looking to kite around Dyrus even more, tells us kind of how Vulcan wants to play these fights. It's going to be Psycho Sid next Smithy way in the dive, but then Alistair, Lux, and Ezreal are really going to be looking to play the kite game against Dyrus. So we may see some extremely stretched out fights that probably won't even fit onto the same screen at some point. Good luck, right? Like he is on the camera following these all, but it could be pretty crazy when they start team fighting.
So we don't see any oracles. Not a lack of pink wards coming from Vulcan, but not many pink wards, as many as we've seen from the teams coming in here. The top laners usually buying quite a bit, 15, 18 minutes in here. We do see one Onyx special right now, but I actually don't even see any on the map. So it's all just about the vision. Nobody wants to really try and clear an advantage out just yet. Oh, there's an Oracle's on odd one. There he is. All right, so there we go.
But there are way more Vulcan wards than there are TSM wards. If you just look at the approach towards the Baron, there's 5 in that jungle alone. Vulcan actually has 10 wards currently down on the map, so that tells me they should look to do something right now, because they definitely don't want the odd one going around and getting 25 gold for all 10 wards just because he's walking around. Vulcan should look to fight next time odd one goes to clear.
I'd hope so. You put down 2.5 kills worth of ward money, you better get something out of it.
Yep.
12-7 here, 26 minutes in. Psycho Sid just clearing out this top lane happily. He's becoming quite a fed croc. Let's see, hasn't really built too much. He actually went for the Vamp Scepter right after his defensive build.
Yeah, that probably has to do with him battling Singed. He wants a little bit of added sustain because Singed wears people down, and he's not worried about getting spiked up.
Oh, great
nice
double flash from both of them, but you can't flash twice unless you're Ezreal. Maokai is a tree. Shut down there by Zuna, and they're going to keep the pressure on.
That was a lot of knockups onto the odd one, chained right after him. He thought he'd escaped with the flash, but when Dyrus was split pushing, the presence was lost. Vulcan initiated hard. That was a good one.
So it looks like they are going to keep this pressure on. Dyrus in the top lane, finally able to split push that Sunfire Cape coming in now, synergizing with the poison, and they're just going to be able to kind of trade back and forth here. If he can get that top turtle, it'll be great. They did lose the odd one here, so a turret for a turtle still kind of even things out. But they're still going for pressure. We see Zuna trying to get the Essence Flux down. He's like, guys, stay in here. Oh my gosh, just going down so fast. Not even directed camera knew what was going on. So we do see that. Zuna getting crushed out.
Reginald got the catch that he was supposed to be getting on Xerath. Zuna didn't burn his cleanse during that. I don't think he was expecting the level of burst that reached him. Reginald had just finished his Rabadon's death cap, so he was really bursting him hard in that situation. And you could see the look on Zuna's face right after that happened. He was like, I just screwed that one up, guys. Sorry. And it might result in a TSM Dragon.
And I took it into consideration a little bit, but I didn't realize how much it would look like it hurt, is the Xerath alt living artillery. Xerath alt living artillery. Who's going to be able to touch that? You're so much range away. And yeah, that's going to count for a Dragon here. Lux Laser, a little too early, but they're just going to be able to take this out.
And because of that huge initiation range by TSM, it puts the onus on Vulcan to make things happen, because if they infinitely let Reggie wait for a catch, he will catch a guy, and they will probably kill him. So Vulcan has to go in fast.
And that was their safest, right? That's the guy that can, you know, advance in or out with Arcane Shift. So if they can catch him, it's not going to be good for anybody else that just has to walk out of the situation. Kaox grabbing golems in the bottom here. We're getting up to that 30-minute mark in the game. We see Xpecial pick up an Aegis for the team. And actually 2 Wardens coming out for both Dyrus and the Odd One.
Yeah, they know there's a lot of auto attackers reliant on the damage from Vulcan, so they're just making sure to get that attack speed reduction fitting in there. Vulcan stealing the blue buff. They're looking to pick something right here. Smites it away, and we might see the fight.
They have good ward coverage if they stayed in that bush. The pink cleared it out. The odd one puts himself in the middle. He was the first to go down in the last fight. Great damage from Kaox on the outside here. The odd one gets himself out. Xmithy has not dropped yet. A great shield coming out from Mandatory Cloud, keeping everybody alive so far.
And that was the strange fight. No one ended up dying, but everybody tried to peel back for Dyrus. That was not the stretch team fight I thought that would happen. Psycho Sid and Xmithy were just trying to kill the odd one and Dyrus. It was tanks battling tanks. And Vulcan is really low to be trying this Baron, but they're going to try to sneak it off because they don't think TSM will check.
And this is where teams like Team Solo Mid can take the upper hand. They've been in this situation multiple times. Not that Vulcan hasn't, but if you've seen this 100 times to somebody who's seen it 50, you definitely have those mistakes in your head, and you can play off of them. Looks like nobody's going to go for it this time, and they just used a smart mindset on both sides.
But TSM's probably taking a tower off this one because they know that everyone on Vulcan was in the Baron pit while a couple people on TSM had just chopped. So Dyrus, for instance, went back and just bought a bunch of belts, and they're pushing up mid.
And this is where the small advantage comes off of that, of TSM's experience. It's like they may try to get some damage on this or head towards the top. Oh no, they know where Zuna is. There's a ward on the red. Zuna's forced out of this. Looks like they're just going to give him pressure, but having control of Team Solo or Vulcan's jungle right now, it doesn't look like they have control. At least Vulcan says. Muffin Cutie's taking quite a bit of damage. Zuna's on the outside by Red, but he can't get too much damage on. He hits Chaos. Chaos is completely out of mana. Vulcan can definitely turn this one around. They're all very low right now. A great job as Chaos flies over the wall, Reginald style from yesterday, and takes out Zuna. And it looks like they're going to back off of this one finally.
TSM is just team fighting so well right now. They're controlling the fights within the Odd One's ultimate. All of that happened in the damage reduction that Maokai was providing. Also, since they've stolen the red buff away from Zuna,
wow.
no, Chaos, you died to ManCloud. But Chaos had done so well that entire fight. It was a shame he got caught out by ManCloud at the end.
That was ManCloud throws out the Lucent Singularity, and then it's like, oh, nobody's in the bush, I'll throw a laser. And then he walked right into the Lucent Singularity before it popped. That's so unfortunate. One way to go down, I guess. Mandatory Cloud picking up some extra gold now, 2-0-7. Bringing up that KDA, the Rabadons, the Athene's Unholy Grail with the Blasting Wand as well. Possibly, what would that be, Jap? Void Staff next?
For Lux, he's probably going for a Void Staff next. Yep. He needs the magic penetration just because it multiplies so well. Not necessarily because people are stacking magic resist, but just because like Special as an Aegis to the Legion, he's working on a Runic Bulwark, means that you're going to need that Void Staff late game to get through it.
And it looks like, unlike yesterday, AD carries are going for the Bloodthirsters once again, or at least the Scepter build, and not leaving it at the Longsword. We saw the Bloodthirster coming in for Zuna, the Infinity Edge for Chaos on Kog'Maw, as respectively. The gold lead now only about 2,000, a little bit less than 2,000 actually. So TSM doing a good job of inching back in this one as Vulcan is slowly letting them gain control. They're not pushing any advantages.
And a really important thing to notice with TSM's kind of mini comeback here is the fact that Chaos has actually surpassed Zuna in gold. Despite him being 3 to 5 in kills versus 5 to 2 for kills, he has more gold than him. He's also more damaging of a build. Zuna went for the utility build, and also there is a Randuin's Omen and a Warden's Mail on TSM, which will be slowing Zuna's attack speed when he's trying to hit the tank line. There are no such items on Vulcan, so when Vulcan dives into Chaos, Chaos is essentially hitting them back at full strength. So all of these things combined, even though the gold lead is 1,000, makes TSM be in a pretty good spot.
Oh my gosh, and there you see Xerath almost coming to full fruition on his damage. Just needs to finish that Void Staff himself. That Haunting Guy is helping a little bit more, as that was not in Mandatory Cloud's build. We'll have to see if these two face off one-on-one against each other at any point here. I don't think that's going to happen. Everybody's moving power and numbers right now as we're about 33 minutes in the game. And as I say that, Dyrus is all on his lonesome, pushing the bottom lane.
And Dyrus has got his teleport up. He has went the full tank, but it was very effective in the last fight because everyone's actually peeling back and starting to hit Singed. They're considering him actually a bit more of a threat than he is, so it's trapping Vulcan into hitting the wrong targets and they're not diving through. I think a lot of this game will have to do on catching the right things at the right time. Mandatory Cloud, if he gets the right bind plus laser combination, or Reginald, if he gets the right Xerath combinations, may end up deciding this game as Reginald sieges up.
Oh, he does siege up, but that puts him in the right spot for them to completely take him down. They're going to clear these wards, and it looks like they're going to pressure the Baron.
Well, there's the break that Vulcan needed. I mean, now they're 5v4. They will want to peel and fight TSM because a lot of their damage was in Reginald's burst, and it is completely off the map right now. Here comes TSM.
They're not doing too much straight damage to Baron right now. Dyrus could really put them on tilt. If they go into this, a good pounce up. It was only on Dyrus. Chaos got absolutely taken out. Especially on the outside. Can't even help his team. Pops the ult in an area where it doesn't even do any damage. TSM can't even get in to help each other. And Vulcan continues to clean up this fight. Nobody's really even that close to going down. Muffin Cutie looks slow, but he's still got a lot of health.
Twice in a row, Mandatory Cloud landed lasers on the two most important targets of TSM. Reginald to start the engagement, and then they bursted Chaos down right at the start of that fight. TSM is continuing to try, and he catches X Special with another one.
There's X Special. Ult is down. We saw him use it. The Dazzle doesn't even come out to help. They're going to take down Reginald. He's really just trying to stall this, or trying Dyrus rather, as Reginald coming up now from blue is what I wanted to say. And he could try to siege up and poke something out here. They have wards for it, though.
This one's actually gotten a little interesting. They've done so much work peeling that Reginald's trying to flash in and get them.
Oh no! Reginald could go down once again. The laser comes out. He gets taken out. They are all so low right now. Mandatory Cloud needs to get out of there. There's shield saving a few of them. They finally take Baron after a third contest from TSM.
Every objective battle this game seems to have gone Vulcan's way just barely from the very start during the Dragon fights. They're escaping with slivers and getting the buffs. That was a crazy barrage of final sparks from Mandatory Cloud's Lux. He hit all of them during all of that engagement, and it really clutched the Baron for them.
So Psycho Sid looking to push that top lane as he now goes back. You see TSM picking up a Dragon, scraping back a little bit of that gold that went to Baron for Vulcan here. 51,000 to 47,000, getting a good gold lead back in for Vulcan as we are now 35 minutes into your first game of the day here, Jat. What does it look like to you? What needs to be done? The bulwark has just been finished on Vulcan. Where can TSM find their way back in now?
It's pretty crazy that 35 minutes in, when you're down 10 kills, what seems like a lot of Dragons, and a Baron, and towers, how are they only down by 3,500 gold, right? They are not that far behind in the grand scheme of things for this game. They have Cogbot, too, who just completed the Blade of the Ruined King to slice through Psycho Sid and X-Smithy when they fly in there. So it's like, if TSM avoids getting caught out by Mandatory Cloud's lasers, like that whole set of poor plays really started when Reginald got sniped by Mandatory Cloud. TSM stops that, they're still in a pretty good spot. If the tables are turned and Reginald does to Mandatory Cloud what Mandatory Cloud did to Reginald before the fights, I can easily see TSM still coming out on top, despite all the leads that Vulcan has accumulated.
Well, they very much think that they are in this still. There's the Oracles for X Special that he is holding on to for when they actually break this Baron buff and they are able to get back outside the base. They want to be able to gain as much ground as possible in those first early seconds because Vulcan is not going to let up here. We've seen them become a team that is so focused on objectives. They're able to grab so many. There it is! Again! One-on-one, Reginald going down to Mandatory Cloud, and I guess we did get to see that.
Reginald used his spike on X-Smithy. Mandatory Cloud finished off Reginald, and now they're going for the turret.
It's just under their turret, Chad. They don't even care it's there. They're taking pictures of it. Dyrus could be going down here. X-Smithy tanking the turret. One more time, he goes down. Didn't have spiders that time. It looks like they do get the 150 gold there. They lose X-Smithy, but they take out the odd one. Reginald just a bit before. They're waiting on 30 and 40 seconds. This base is open.
The siege battle is what keeps granting this to Vulcan, because you watch the actual fights, and Vulcan isn't able to do too much in them. It really is so much about Zuna's just slow utility during the fights, but mainly Mandatory Cloud snipes pre-fight has granted them everything in the last 4 minutes.
Seems like somebody goes down for Team Solo Mid, they come back in and they try so hard in the fight, and then they're instantly back down. We saw it happen to Chaox 3 times in the bottom lane. Zuna was able to grab him with that max range Mystic shot, and then he comes back to a Smithy gank, and then we just see, you know, it happening to Reginald over and over at that Baron attempt. The odd one's been going down. These guys need to have all 5 on the map for the next fight. They're kind of going in one-on-one, or one by one.
He's got Chaox!
Oh, the flash! Oh, he knew he had to cleanse everything off of that. Still takes a true shot damage. But yeah, that's so game-changing off little things like that. It's scary to be playing against.
It is just being the superior sniper right now for Mandatory Cloud. Reginald is not able to catch out Vulcan. Mandatory Cloud is able to catch out TSM. They have about 30 seconds left on this Baron buff, and because they've just harassed down Chaos, they may get a free turret out of this one with the last few bits of their Baron.
Be it a spear, be it a laser, you give Mandatory Cloud skill shots, and he's going to wreak some havoc on your team. 5-0 and 12 for him, 7-1 and 4 for Psycho Sid, 7-2 and 11 right now. Everybody, there really isn't just like an all-one person. Vulcan is playing as a team right now.
They are doing the right stuff. I mean, their 3rd match against TSM this season. The first time we've had teams play this many times, and they have not beat them.
They have not beat them.
They're 0-2 against them. They started the season 0-5, but now they're 4-7, right? Like, they're still coming back. Vulcan's played more games this season in the LCS than any other team in North America. This is their 12th game of the season, and they've gotten the practice, right? This has been a steadily improving team throughout, and they're showing why here against TSM. We'll see if they can close this one out, because they keep landing the Lux bindings, but how many lasers in a row does Mandatory Cloud have to land? What happens when he misses one? What happens when TSM gets a full 5v5 fight, or is that even going to occur?
Oh, I don't know. They're able to take down Chaox so fast in these. He obliterated the Baron fight, forced to use his cleanse just a bit ago. So that is down as we look. His flash is down as well, and only Ignite is down for Muffin Cutie and Flash for Xmithy, but he's only looking to go in right now. He doesn't probably care to flash out. Yeah. This is going to be a final fight for them. So many wards coming out as TSM tries to just gain a bit of advantage on the outside of their base. And that cooldown be up in about 24 seconds. Mandatory Cloud would be good to do it again. The harass now to come out as the base to be sieged.
Every wave, Mandatory Cloud's going to get a shot to win the game.
Yep.
So every 24 seconds when that laser's up, if he lands it on either Reginald or Chaos, I think that'll be enough to do it. So right now, Vulcan is literally just going fishing with light bindings. If he gets one, if he gets a bite, they're going to go in. If they don't get a bite, they're not going to pull the reel, and I don't think Vulcan's going to fight.
Mandatory Cloud has 502 ability power right now to Reginald's. I think that was 373, so they are quite a disparity there. There it is, Dyrus. Even Dyrus taking so much damage from that burst. Looks like they could get a few pokes onto the turret. Zuna, he's playing very careful here. Usually he's the one to go in with Kog'Maw and get the W shots on the turret, but they're not getting any damage on that right now.
I really do think they're waiting for Mandatory Cloud to get the touch. They're a little bit too worried of Reginald. They know what he can do to Zuna, and it is this waiting game. They're going to probably do this until either Reginald or ManCloud lands one on the right target, or Reginald does, and TSM might go off this. No.
Oh man, there's one of them. Vulcan knows. You get caught by a Dazzle, you get caught by Reginald, you're flipped, you're twisted advanced. This is tough. That for them to engage on this, they got to find the exact hole to get in here. TSM's not letting it happen, and this is the experience. I think it was MIA or somebody in the interviews that said, this is where the teams know to turtle it out and bring it to an even later game where we just have trouble in an all-out core item 5-on-5 fight.
And Baron will be up in about 25 seconds. The siege battle is holy crap going to continue. Because he had the QSS, the extra magic resistance is actually the only thing that dealt with him here. And the interesting change between ManCloud and Reginald, how they're trying to spike each other out. You watch when Reginald hit on to Vulcan, the Lux shield hit and the Locker of the Iron Solari shield hit, because that damage comes out over a couple seconds. But the Lux damage hits all at once, which makes it much more difficult to shield or reactively stop, as now Vulcan going for this Baron and Mandatory Cloud going fishing.
Oh wow, the odd one. We'll see how much burst he takes from this. Actually receiving a heal from Xpecial, so he doesn't take too much. And it looks like they could try to go in here. This is dangerous, Jab. Vulcan is risking the lead they have right now for this fight. Muffin Cutie could go down fast. He flashes out. The Baron hits him, but he gets the heal off Xmithy. This could be it for TSM to pull it back. There was no reason for Vulcan to want this Baron fully, and they could be going down. They've disengaged really well here. Dyrus, the last tick of Ignite, and Leandries, he does not go down. Mandatory Cloud going very aggressive. He's now in a position that he cannot do that again without Flash. These guys, I can't believe nobody just died right there.
They were so close to dying. Odd One got the home guard boots when he went back to go for it. Dyrus also with home guard. He's going back. This fight could actually go on for a really long time, Riv.
Really long time, and the health bars being low as well. They're microing each other perfectly. The damage in and out. A shot there from Chaos actually didn't even really hurt Sid. The teleport in from Dyrus. They're going for Cloud. They want to shut down the spike. The flip is in. That's what they didn't want. They've locked up Chaos, but they're just hanging out. They want to know if Vulcan's coming back in, Jap, because it looks like the Baron once again.
Pings actually went down to TSM's base where Nectin is on the run for the inhibitor.
Oh,
they're going to make TSM peel back for it, I think.
Oh, they're totally dictating this fight with one person. Psycho Sid is that big that he can just crush on these turrets, and they know they can't just send one back. He'll slice and dice out of it. He may get this turret. The caster minions in the siege pick it up for him. Some gold there, but they stop the Baron attempt, and I think they know it may have been the wrong choice.
43 minutes in, and this game is still super back and forth. Vulcan has dumped so much money into these wards. Look at the wards around the Baron area. It has been a Christmas tree over there for the entire game, it seems. So that is not money they're getting back. Look at Muffin Cutie's items. 43 minutes in, he's got a Kindle Gem and a Vamp Scepter. He's trying to get a Zeke's Herald, but compared to the Runic Bulwark that Xpecial has completed, it's not even comparable as far as item strength. But the kiting from Vulcan is completely evident right here. The Iceborne Gauntlet from Zuna is extending these fights very well. They're just sieging so well with Mandatory Cloud, and TSM trying desperately to make something happen now, cornering themselves up against the Baron. TSM trying to make a big play.
The thing that's happening, Jazz, Team Solo Mid has been in that position to guard their base. They're set up with home guards. If they can get a good push on Vulcan, they haven't prepared for any of that defensive setup. So if they're in the death chamber, once they come up, it's kind of just fighting barehanded. We'll have to see this push just kind of back off. Once again, the wards being cleared. It's all about the mistake right now. Who's going to make the first one? Who is going to be caught out?
Are we still in our first game in the day? Because I feel like this game has been going on forever. Like, the amount of plays that Vulcan has made that seemed like TSM would not be able to recover from. Disasters at Dragon, 1 and 2. The disaster at Baron, where they took the Baron and took an inhibitor. It's like, that stuff hasn't mattered for TSM. They keep coming back. They're only 5,000 gold down. They're down 10 kills and 5 turrets, but they seem to keep pressing. They're still putting pressure on. They still have the presence to disrupt Vulcan's Baron. Vulcan is close to taking this one, but TSM is really fighting for it.
Just going back and forth to the AD carries. Zuna now about 500 gold, 700 gold up above Chaos, as Chaos had that lead just a little bit ago. We see the items coming in here, extra 15,200 to that 14,950. We can see just along the top lane's pretty even. Mid lane, we can see where Mandatory Cloud coming in big there, almost 3,000 gold up on Reginald right now.
It's a pretty big difference. It's pretty much a full Athene's Unholy Grail on him. So it's 502 AP to 361, right? So considering they both... I mean, Reginald is even more glass cannon than Mandatory Cloud. At least Mandatory Cloud has the 40 magic resistance coming in from his Unholy Grail. But TSM on Vulcan's side of the map right now, and they're hoping that Vulcan goes for something. They got to be so careful, though. If any of them get caught by a pint, they're going to die.
Yeah, we haven't seen the ball on this side of the court in quite some time. The burst onto Xmithy. He actually takes that quite well. I feel like he'd be all right to engage with Muffin Cutie after something like that. So Reginald ulti being down. That cooldown, we're looking at about 58 seconds right now, so just under a minute. He'll be able to come back up with that, but it's not a 24-second final spark. It is not the siege and the pushback that Vulcan has. TSM continues to push on here. I know that Baron has still yet to be taken, and they did a great job at, you know, pausing that 4 minutes out. That Vulcan had it. They really didn't give him too much.
Yeah, and I need to highlight again the siege from Reginald not being super effective against Vulcan because of the Runic Bulwark, because of Locket of the Iron Solar, and because of the reactive shielding from Mandatory Cloud. Just based on how slow Reginald's damage comes out, it's a relative spike in the fact that it's about 3 seconds, but Mandatory Cloud gets full effect from both sides of his shield during that spike, which is shielding for about 700 damage if you take it all into account, which is really limiting Reginald's threat.
So we have more ward clearing going out. Yeah, that Oracle's fizzling out for Xpecial there, so they don't have as much vision as they had before. No pink wards in the inventory. So for the next few minutes, or until they lose Xpecial in the group, they're not going to have as much vision as they want in that area.
And Zuna did just land a slow onto Dyrus in the mid lane, which made him pop his Singed Ultimate, his Insanity Potion, so Vulcan might look to press a little bit up. There are 2 exposed inhibitors for TSM, so if Vulcan gets any kind of lead, any kind of fight, any kind of surprise peel, they should be able to take them out. But for now, they're just waiting. They're going on and halt this Dyrus.
Max range light binding. Psycho Sid, I believe, just flashed in onto Dyrus. That's quite interesting. He's going to have to be forced out of the fight. Good shield coming in, keeps him alive. The siege from Reginald able to take down Psycho Sid. And a very strong engage there to be going in on Dyrus like that.
Vulcan's got to be a little careful here. They haven't been able to end this game despite having a lot of advantages, and TSM is crawling back. Chaos is very close to being completely maxed items. The only thing he could do now is upgrade his QSS to a Mercurial Scimitar and get even more attack damage. He is shredding down Psycho Sid and Xmithy when they try to go in, and I think Dyrus is full tank singed, although it seemed kind of questionable at the start, is doing enough distraction that as long as Reginald avoids getting picked off by Mandatory Cloud, TSM might be in a position to take this game.
If they can get Vulcan down low enough here, you can get an Xpecial and an odd one, a Chaos Baron going down quite easy. Chaos is going to shred that thing out. Looks like they're all going to get in the den, though. They're quite deep here. Xmithy, again, look, doing a little dance there with his suede shoes on, but he gets hit with a few living artilleries as well. That gives him full vision of the area, and it looks like Reginald's going to be able to snipe him out as he comes around a ward. They continue to do Baron. Looks like Team Solo Mid may be able to put Vulcan on tilt here. The Dazzle comes out. The instant clear off by Mandatory Cloud as he gets himself out of there. And it looks like they continue to go on to this fight, chat. Looks like TSM stopped in their tracks there. Dyrus just throwing out a little bit of harass.
Reginald's slow damage finally took out Xmithy. That deleted the smite threat from their Baron force. Then Mandatory Cloud threw in his Lux Ultimate blind, which made the smite from Odd One quite safe. Odd One is always very cognizant of the potential smite steal opportunities, so he made sure that the threats were out of the way so they could secure that Baron. And that's exactly what TSM has been waiting for. There's the break and window that they finally gotten. Now with the Baron, they could look to push for inhibitors.
See what they're doing. Dyrus is going to take top lane. They are actually spreading out the work right now. And looks like it's going to be Chaos in the bottom lane. Back to the items. We see actually Special picking up a mana pot there. They know these fights are going to be for the long haul.
Yeah.
And even with, let me see, actually, he has 1,100 mana, he still needs the mana pot. He knows it's going to go on forever.
Some of those fights stretch, and Tarek's heal's not cheap. It's 140 mana every time he tries to throw a heal out, so he's going to need it. You know, it's actually, if he's got the extra gold, why not just pick up that extra mana potion? I like how Reginald has finally picked up a Giant Spell as well.
Yep.
So he's not as vulnerable to Mandatory Cloud's lasers. And also, from a carrying the game perspective, you look at Chaos's Kog'Maw's at 17,500 gold. Zuna's Ezreal's at 16.8k gold. So they're both like super fed right now. But you look at Chaos and he has much more attack speed. He's got the Phantom Dancer in there. So just straight up hitting, he's much stronger. Zuna has went a slight bit of utility build. He doesn't have any crit in his build at all. And he doesn't have much attack speed aside from Berserker's Grief. So his attack, his AD carry multipliers just aren't there. He's hitting Darius. He's tickling Darius, actually, because Darius is too tanky at this point based on the build that Zuna went. So Chaos much stronger from an AD carry perspective right now.
He's kind of just relying really on Zuna for the Essence Flux, but for Kog'Maw to have that built in is a little bit more effective. Zuna has to get ramped up in that fight. 50 minutes now, 22-14 here. A very close game for day one here. Your second day of week 4 in the LCS. Look at this gold, almost 70,000 apiece. It's so absolutely close to be this high in the game. 8-4 in turrets. Global objectives really keeping Team Solo Mid in this one, and it comes down to the more experienced teams know how to turtle out that late game right now.
Yeah, and these games just keep getting better. I mean, 50 minutes, 50 seconds in, but it's like there has actually been action the whole time.
Yeah,
there's no way this is a slow game. 422 minion kills for Chaos. He's going to go back and buy the Mercurial Scimitar. He will be a full 6-item Kog'Maw
Get
that
these boots
should
out of here.
Crush people with pretty much all damage items. Now he's going to upgrade that QS. Maybe he could go for Zephyr, actually. He did say his endgame build on all AD carries is to sell his boots and get his Zephyr, so that could be the thing he goes for when he goes back to buy. And holy crap, Vulcan must be sweating right now because they had such a big gold lead and they were not able to close.
It's got to be a nail biter, though. How, like, to play knowing you're down, knowing, guys, for 10 or 15 minutes, we're going to let them beat on us, and then we'll be all right. Like, that just in general is hard to, you know, accept in itself.
It's something they've managed to pull off. Like, the amount of times Reginald got caught by a binding for his team not to be just like, all right, guys, let's just give up. You can't stay alive versus Lex. We need to stop trying this game. It's like, well, eventually he stopped getting hit by Mandatory Cloud's Final Sparks, and they have been able to turn this game completely around. I mean, the gold's even, but it does feel like TSM has a big advantage here.
Indeed, they now pick up the buffs. The next fight quite imminent here. Baron is where on TSM right now? Let's see. Looks like actually just about to wear off, so we have Baron buff coming up in 3 minutes. That'll be around 55, right on the dot, ladies and gentlemen. And our first game of the day, absolutely setting the bar. I hope we get to see more action like this. See if Vulcan can carry a win over TSM.
And those last 4 minutes of TSM's Baron were essentially just them trying to catch up on farm. They wanted to equalize the gold, which it is exact right now at 52.5 minutes. So crazy to say. They were picking up dragons. They got the 1 turret. They got the initial kills from the fight. But other than that, Vulcan was like, oh crap, we better not throw this one. They stayed in their base. TSM took all the farm. They just gobbled it up, trying to get max items, and now they're prepared for the next stage of the game.
Everybody's picking up Leandries now. Reginald has one. Mandatory Cloud. Dyrus has one. The Giants belts are coming out. The Randuins have been completed. The defensive fight items really coming into play here now as all the offensive has been put together by these teams. The recipe's completed as well. Probably, what will we see? Will that just be more damage for Lux? You think he'll build that into a Rylai's? You think he'll just go for something defensive?
Ooh, that's a tough one. It's probably a Rylai's, but Lux, considering he's just been bursting people out, I don't think he's going to get the benefit from that. He's looking for the straight defensive spike right now from the 380 health that the Giants belt is giving him.
Right.
I gotta say, these fights, now that Chaos is at 6-item Kog'Maw, we have to watch, if he dodges Mandatory Cloud's Final Spark, the battle between him and Psycho Sid is going to decide so much. Whether Chaos can completely shred down Renekton, or whether Renekton and Nexsmithy can just beat on Chaos. I think that's going to decide it. We saw this way more in Season 2, but it takes a lot longer for AD carries to reach this form now in Season 3. He's just as strong as AD carries have ever been, and he is a monstrous threat right now. So much of this is literally just about protecting Chaos and letting him kill everything.
Odd One and Dyrus doing a great job at leaving only themselves to be in that light bind right now. We see Mandatory Cloud is just trying to snipe out Chaos, like you said, but they can't get him to the back line. He knows he is the complete focus right now. It's really towards the end of yesterday and coming into today, it's a focus on the AD carries once again. We've seen a lot of the top laners coming to fruition with the League of Warmogs, but these guys really making an impact back in the game, and the team knows it's all about protecting them. Zuna for Vulcan right now, and Chaos for Team Solo Mid, both red hot in this game and almost at full build. This next fight could absolutely decide the game.
And TSM is seemingly hoping that Vulcan gets panicky, or they're just waiting to siege around the next Baron because they feel like that's a safer position for them to fight in. If TSM wins a fight in their base, it's going to take them a really long time to go over to Vulcan's base to do something, but if they want to fight a Baron, it would be much better for them. But Vulcan seeming to have a bit of a upper hand in positioning here, trying to poke down to TSM's inhibitor, and TSM is forced to just protect it. They're not looking to initiate, it seems.
Pushing back a few shots on the turret when they can get it. Chaos still in the back line. Special. Oh, he came in with Home Guard. I thought he was looking for a quick dazzle. A little damage coming out from Mandatory Cloud as he knows he can get that pressure on. And look, they've all been poked, you know, about 10% of their health bar out.
Still, though, the Lux damage is not nearly as potent as it was about 20 or 30 minutes ago when ManCloud was obliterating people. TSM's gotten enough resiliency in their items, especially with the Runic Bulwark and the maxed heal now on X Special, so they're withstanding that a lot better as they get a stun on the
make it over the wall. There's a twisted advance after the cleanse. He's able to finally flash out of that. It looks like this is a pretty good engagement for both teams, rather. Smithy's thrown in. Oh, wow, he gets bursted down. Vulcan loses one very fast there after it was kind of just a tit for tat and damage. They find the burst they want. Chaos flashes in. They find Chaos, though. They try to dive onto him, but they're trying to split themselves a little too much here. Like you said, Chat, this fight is not going to stay on the screen. We go back up to Psycho Sid, and he goes down as they chase Vulcan out to the bottom right.
And now the Baron buff is up. There's an Ezreal ultimate. Is it going to get singed? Oh, my God, it did.
Oh, wow. Coming out just on the backside. Zuna does it again.
He sniped him through, but that's still a 2-for-1. The Baron is still up, and that was still a teamfight win for Team Solo Mid. So what are they going to pull off after this one? We got a really fast replay of that clip so we can see it before they get back to Baron.
Oh, man. You can see Dyrus' reaction, too.
Look at this. Zuna was just screaming out from here. He threw it. This is another one. I know where you are. You're in a ward. You're dead.
Dyrus' reaction. Hands overhead. Behind chair. Unfortunate.
Thought it was safe over there, guys.
Nobody told me it was coming. So we do have a complete objective-controlled map now. Baron is live. Dragon is live. We are coming up on 60 minutes of our first game of the day at 23-16. Quite a bloodbath between these two teams. Team Solo Mid finds a bit of a gold lead there at 77,000 now to 75. Let's say 76,000. So it's still close. Still anybody's game. We're getting to that complete core item build, and now they're just figuring out what else they can stuff in their inventory.
Yeah, and the only man who's losing out on this is Muffin Cutie, because he spent the whole game building wards. He's got nothing. He's got a Kittle Gem. He actually sold his Vamp Scepter for more wards because he realized it was a hopeless exchange to try to wait for Zeke's Herald. That may have been a bit of a disadvantage because the auras are actually leading a little bit. And finally, Chaos has reached his final form. He sold his boots for a Zephyr. That is the ultimate damaging Kog'Maw. I don't think you can fit more damage in your build than that.
There it is. Take a picture of it and put it on Reddit. Chaos has met the full build. It might be the first one we've seen in the LCS this season.
Probably. I don't think we've seen 80 carries approach 20,000 gold. That's where Chaos is right now.
Oh my lord. Yeah. 20,000 for himself. He's still holding over on Zuna there. Nobody's really even close. Even Reginald is 3,000 gold behind Chaos himself. Like we said, the closest one is going to be Zuna, those 80 carries. It's all about them right now. But everything built is also focusing on them. All the Randuins, all these Aegis coming out, the Locket of the Iron, Solari, they're just trying to make this job hard for Zuna and Chaos.
Here comes Baron Fight Exchange Super Battle number 3, and it's all about trying to pick out the right targets. There's a big slow on to Zuna.
Odd One.
Odd One wanted to go in on that, but Vulcan on the run a little bit. TSM definitely showing enough threat this game to push them back, and there's still no exposed inhibitor turrets for Vulcan. It might still be about the catches, but I wonder if TSM is too tanky for the Lux damage, and if Chaos is just too powerful on Kog'Maw right now for Vulcan to take this one.
Moving slow, that's for sure, chat. Vulcan slowly, all 4 of them taking out like 5 minions there. Like, stay together. This could be bad. Reginald is anywhere. They have some wards more on TSM side right now, but they really aren't covering their side too much. So if they get a deep invade here from TSM, we saw what just the odd one walking at them with Dyrus on one side in the lane did. They completely walked away, and it showed TSM, like you said, their aggression is becoming dangerous.
And I really like how the last item that Dyrus built was the Leandri's Torment. He was full tank Singe the entire game, but now that everyone is super tanky on the other side, there's 4,000 health on Psycho Sid's Renekton and 3,500 health on Xsmithy's Shinzao, that the percentage health from the Leandri's Torment is going to be really important as he's just trying to troll through them with Singe.
So we kind of see somewhat of a stall here between the teams. I know I would. The one wrong move here is definitely going to spell game for one of these teams. Team Solo Mid not too happy with their loss versus Marn yesterday. They really thought they were going to come out with a win. If they have it happen again, really going to put them on edge, and they're going to have to figure out a way to stop those losses and stop the bleeding. Reginald taking a bit of damage there. The Rylus does finally come out, actually on Mandatory Cloud.
Here it comes.
The odd one coming in here. Cleanse out from Mandatory Cloud. His ult is down for the next 20 seconds. They won't get that front end burst, but the odd one getting a lot of damage to him as they turn onto Psycho Sid. They drop the tankiest one first. Dyrus just wreaking havoc on the back line as Muffin Cutie tries to protect the team. A beautiful slow by Dyrus, and then the pulverize actually just as nice from Muffin Cutie. Could disengage this, and it looks like they may try to keep themselves alive for a little bit longer. One more shot from Kaox would have spelled defeat for Zuna there.
Kaox made Psycho Sid look like a squishy. He destroyed him with a couple shots from that 6-item Kog'Maw, and then Vulcan had to be on the run. That was really a fight about Dyrus not getting killed by Zuna and Kaox destroying Psycho Sid. After that, there was a lot of poke and disengage that came through, so no one was really dying, but that was a landslide victory for TSM just from who took the presence and who pushed the other team back, because now they have a window to approach Baron.
With that Kaox there, like I said, they might just take an odd one and a special into Kaox. The laser comes out. The True Shot Barrage was really early. They had vision on that.
They got it, though.
Thought they were going to bust out more damage. Looks like Odd One is going to be able to grab that up for his team. Mandatory Cloud just gets the shield on. Oh my gosh, no, it's not enough. The Living Artillery is there at the full damage now. This does not look good, Jat. They get 2 huge kills. Psycho Sid is not even up to help his team yet. He'll be there for the base, but TSM takes out 2 on the Baron.
With the 255 armor that Dyrus has and the fact that his ultimate's up, TSM is going to look to end on this push before Mandatory Cloud and Muffin Cutie get up. It's going to be so hard for Vulcan to hold off after that Baron.
TSM says minions? What minions? We are going to base tank this. Moving on, it looks like they haven't even had a turret to tank those health bars. Look at Dyrus's health. It's turning into just a gradient of colors, and it looks like they go on the first Nexus turret. Vulcan is going to throw everything they have at this. Psycho Sid once again melting under the power of Kaox and the rest of the team. Kaox actually picking up the kill on that as well, and they just try to continue to tear the base into shambles here. Zuna forced to use all the summoners as the base is going down. The second Nexus turret. The Nexus is open, and Team Solo Mid coming back on this one in an hour-long game to take down Vulcan.